So, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Carolyn Hall, and I am the director for the Graduate Center of Writing um, for the Graduate Center of Excellence in Testing. And so, tonight I want to talk to you about something that I think will be very, very advantageous for you as you go about your journey of research with your thesis, your dissertation, and just overall classwork. And so I want to talk to you about ways that you can use AI to improve your research capabilities, ways that you can use AI to improve your research capabilities. That's what I want to talk to you about tonight. So, with the advent of AI, and when we first start seeing it step on the scene, a lot of educators were very, very afraid of AI. And to some degree, many people still are afraid of AI because they're afraid that students are going to use more AI than actual brain power. And that is going to take away those critical and analytical thinking skills that are necessary for scholarship and academic endeavor. However, when we learn how to use AI ethically and responsibly, it only betters our academic retention and betters our academic understanding. Okay, so in this workshop, I have four objectives that I want to talk to you about tonight. First one is how AI can support your graduate research, right? And even if you're not a graduate student, but you're a academician such as myself, and you plan on writing or publishing papers in different academic journals, you can even use AI with your research in that way. Number two, to increase efficiency in your literature reviews. Three, to improve the quality of your academic writing. And four, my fourth objective is to show you how to use AI ethically and responsibly. Now, this is extremely important. All of these are extremely important for a number of reasons, right? But the last one I think is the most important of all because as scholars, we always want to make sure that the bulk of our research is what has been shaped by our academic journey and our learning endeavors, not what we put into a computer to make it give us the outcome that we want. That's not what we want to do. We want to simply use AI to enhance the academic innovation that we're trying to bring to our different professions and career fields. Why use AI in research? If I'm honest with you, one of the things that I'll say is I will say that initially when we started seeing things like Chat GPT and Google AI start popping up on the scene, I was one of those naysayers who thought, this is going to damage the classroom. This is going to damage our academic wherewithal and study process. However, as a lifelong learner, I delved into AI, right? I've been to a number of conferences, read a number of journals and articles about AI, and it really, really started to use it for myself to help enhance what I do. And so now I see AI as more of a tool to help improve upon the operations or academic innovation that we already have. Right. And we hear a lot of talk about how AI is going to take out so many jobs, the majority of jobs. But I want to say to you that I believe that those who learn how to master AI and use it to better the jobs that they do are going to be the ones who maintain their jobs. It's kind of akin to um, I went to college in the 90s. I'm dating myself because essentially I'm telling you my age. And uh, toward the end of my collegiate career is when the internet really started coming about. Because up until that time, we still had the library and the card catalog. Probably wouldn't know what I'm talking about. So just old school paper and books, and you had to dig through these boxes of little index cards to tell you where the books were, right? So it was almost like you had to be Sherlock Holmes to find your research. And so what happens is that when the internet came about, a number of professors were kind of afraid that we would be finding papers on the internet and trying to cheat and use those papers as our own. And a lot of people ended up losing their jobs because they didn't know how to work the internet and refused to learn, right? They refused to learn. And so we've got to be very, very adamant about understanding that technology is not about replacing us, but technology, if we learn to master it, is about enhancing what we already do. So when we're using AI in research, what happens is number one, we can learn to reduce the amount of time that we spent on certain tasks. For example, instead of you having to spend hours upon hours in the library to find articles that will help you write this academic journal or your thesis or your dissertation, what you can do is learn how to craft questions to ask Chat GPT or Claude or Google AI, whichever AI source you use. You learn how to craft questions that allow AI to find those articles for you. And that cuts out a whole lot of time, because AI will find that material in seconds for you, right? Because it's this master brain that is scrubbing the entirety of the internet. Okay. Then number two, I want you to think about the fact that when you're using AI, unlike us, even though we're really, really intelligent, AI has in its repertoire millions upon billions of files and information that it can scan through to get what we need. And so it can sort through and organize that information in a very, very quick and concise fashion. The third thing that happens when we use AI in our research is that it helps to improve the clarity and the academic structure of these papers and these innovations that we're trying to make, right? And lastly, using AI in our research helps us to boost our overall research productivity. It's kind of like when I talked to you about the first thing that it does, right? So instead of spending 5 hours trying to find 3 good articles, we gave AI a prompt to help that we use that is shaping our research or is influencing our research, and AI finds us those same 5 articles in a matter of seconds, right? Then it provides for us maybe a short summary of each article so that we don't have to go through the whole article to find out if it's relevant to our research. We shave off time in our research journey. The takeaways that I want for you to leave this presentation with are that when we're using AI, it is not about replacing our brain power. It's about learning how to work smarter and not harder. Okay, I'll repeat that. This is not about replacing our brain power and becoming lazy, but it is about learning how to work smarter and not harder. Number two, we will learn how to use AI to strengthen our writing. Doesn't mean that we're not going to write. It just means that we're going to strengthen what we write. I'll give you an example. A lot of times when I craft a message, I craft the message, right? Or I write the paper first. But I might put that paper in there, put that paper in Claude and ask Claude, um, help me refine my writing style in this paper. It has a specific tone, right? And so Claude or Chat GPT, whatever search engine I use, AI search engine I use, will help me get a more concise and polished writing style. But keep in mind, I wrote the original. I didn't ask it to write me a paper. I had it already written. I just used it to help me polish my writing style. Okay. The last thing that I want you to take away from this particular presentation is that as a scholar, it is paramount, of the utmost importance, that when you're using AI for your research, that you stay ethical and effective. You stay ethical and effective when using AI for your research. Now, these are a few AI tools that you can use. Um, and they have a free portion. Some of them have a paid portion, which allows you to go more in depth with that particular AI search engine. But there's also a free portion, and you might want to see if your particular institution has any sort of membership with an AI bot, right? Because let's say, for instance, your school might have a free membership to Claude that all students can use, or a free chat GPT membership that all students can use. It's just about you checking to see, right? And so here, there are four key AI tools that I want you to know about, but really, I'm going to give you an extra one as well. So there's Chat GPT, and Chat GPT can help you do a lot of brainstorming and outlining. You can consider that your assistant, right? This is your assistant. Semantic scholar, right? And this one is strictly for academicians or people in the academic fields. Semantic scholar is what you would call an illicit AI bot. Well, illicit means that it gets information for you, right? It gets the information for you. So this one would be a perfect tool for your literature search, right? The next one is Grammarly, and I'm sure you've seen the Grammarly bot pop up when you write emails, or it might pop up when you're writing a paper. You'll see Grammarly pop up and ask, do you want its help, right? Grammarly is a wonderful AI bot that helps you edit and give more clarity to your papers, right? It's not going to write the paper for you, but it will help you edit. You know how sometimes you get caught up in semantics or punctuation. This is going to help you with those things to fine tune that paper. Okay. Next one is Zotero. Zotero is going to help you with your citations and your references. Now, this is going to be a game changer, right? Because a lot of students, when they're writing their thesis, their dissertations, or just academic papers in general, a lot of students and faculty, when they're writing these papers, they struggle with documentation because it can get kind of tedious. APA and Cape Turabian and MLA, these different documentation styles can get really, really tedious. But Zotero is going to help you sort of navigate through that citation process. And one that I don't have listed on here that would be advantageous for you to use is one called Claude, and that's Claude. Claude is almost like Chat GPT in that it can be a co-pilot. It becomes a personal assistant for you. I like to use Claude to sort of map out my schedule, right? So if I'm writing a paper, I might have Claude say, and then I have to go to work as well. So I might give Claude my schedule and tell it to map out a day that helps me be productive as I'm writing my thesis or my dissertation, right? And Claude will create you a whole schedule, tell you what time to what time you need to work on specific things and how productive you can be by using that time. So these are all wonderful tools that help you to make the work not easier, but more productivity. More productivity you'll gain from this. Okay. So in order for you to really, really get some good research and good information from these AI bots, you got to make sure, right? You got to make sure that you're writing your prompts. The prompt, by prompt I mean the question or statement that you're going to put in the AI chat box to help you gain whatever it is that you're trying to know, right? You got to make sure that you're wording it or you're articulating yourself in a concise manner so that you can get the information and not go into information overload. So I've given you a couple of examples of some AI prompts. So let's say, for instance, you have 5 different articles that you have to read for class, right? And you've gotten down to the wire, and maybe you don't have time to read them as thoroughly as you like. Well, guess what? You can take those articles or those links to the articles, upload them into Chat GPT, and ask, give me a concise summary of each article with 5 key points. Now, I still need for you to read those articles, right? However, this gives you that main idea or that thematic focus that you're looking for that will help you understand what you read or what you're about to read, right? And help you be prepared for class. Okay? Next one. Let's say that you're creating something, like you're starting to work on your literature review outline, right? And you don't know where to start. You give Chat GPT a prompt and say, create a lit review outline. Now, don't write my lit review, because I need to write that, because the thesis and that dissertation and your academic paper is going to follow you. And when people ask you, what are these things about, you're going to need to be able to articulate these things. And that's why we have to move ethically and responsibly with AI, because if you allow it to do all the writing for you, then that expertise that you need for this career, this profession that you're moving into, you're not going to have it, because you've let the computer do all the work for you, right? And it eventually it begins to show, and we don't want to move like that, right? So I may start off, if I don't know where to start with my literature review, I may put a prompt in Chat GPT to say, create a literature review outline on a restorative justice in Black schools. Let's say my paper is about restorative justice being used in inner city schools, right? How it improves behavior practices. Well, when I put it in there, create a literature review outline. That means I still have to write the literature review myself, but it's giving me an outline so that I can stay focused and stay on topic. All right. Next, if I'm wanting to have my writing be more simplified so that it can be more clear and concise, I may take a paragraph or a paper or a page of my writing and upload it to Claude or one of these research engines that I've given you, and ask it, my writing clarify my writing, or give me 3 tips to improve this paper. Give me tips to improve this paper. And it will almost grade the paper for you, because it will tell you where there are points of weakness, what you need to add, what you need to detract. And notice I say that it'll tell you what you need to do to improve the paper. It won't write the paper for you. We're not trying to get it to write the paper for us. We're trying to get it to help us improve the writing of the paper, okay? Lastly, I may put the paper in and I say, identify the gaps in my research. Identify the gaps in my research. Or I might say, if I'm trying to find a dissertation topic or a thesis topic, and I feel like, so many other people have talked about this, am I beating a dead horse? I may say, identify the gaps in the research about restorative practices in Black school systems. And it's going to tell me where my niche is, so that my research, because the point of all research is about adding to the field of endeavor. It's never about just repeating what somebody else says. It's always going to be about adding to the field of endeavor, right? Because we know there have been 5 million people that have talked about restorative justice, right? And how restorative justice needs to replace punitive practices within school systems. So that's been talked about a whole lot. But where I come in as a scholar, if I'm going to have good research, I got to find out what am I adding to the topic, or what am I adding to this research about restorative justice that is going to help the next generation of educators, right? And so when I say identify the gaps in this research, what I'm doing is I'm using AI to help me bring about innovation in that particular career field. Next one. AI enhanced research workflow. AI enhanced research workflow. Using AI to increase your workflow is paramount. It is paramount. AI enhanced research workflow. So remember in the beginning, I talked to you about pre-AI, right? And even pre-internet. It may have taken somebody years to have written a dissertation or a thesis. And we would hear about a whole lot of people who would become ABD, which means all but dissertation, right? And it's not because these people weren't brilliant or they didn't have the intellect to finish the program, but sometimes uh, a lot of people ended up not being able to finish because what they would do, what their research became so convoluted, or so mind-boggling, or sometimes so confusing because it was so much on their plate that they just couldn't finish it, right? They just couldn't finish it. And so this is going to help us with our workflow so that it doesn't take us 2 years, 3 years, or even a whole year to finish our dissertation, right? But we have identified our research topic. We're using AI to help us with literature reviews, right? Because it's going to help us find those summaries that are necessary so we can make our research more concise. Then we use it to help us draft outlines and organize the ideas that we have. But also we're going to use it for revision, so we don't just have to wait for our committee to give us feedback. We can be asking AI for feedback so that when it goes to our committee, we may not have as many changes that have to be made, right? We may not have as many changes that have to be made because we've already gotten some assessment of what we've written and got enough feedback to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. Next, the ethical use of AI. The ethical use of AI. Hear me and hear me well. I know I've said this, and I know you're like, Dr. Hall, you said that, and you keep saying it, but it is so important to you that I remind you that AI is meant to support your academic career, not to replace your academic study. I'll say it again for the people in the cheap seats. AI is supposed to be used to support your academic innovation and not replace your academic study. What does that mean? That means that I'm not going to use AI to write my papers for me. Because as a scholar who is going into a particular profession, I need to know that I know what I know, right? I'm going to say it again. As a scholar who moves into a particular career or profession, so if I have this, if I'm getting this doctorate in curriculum and instruction, when I get out of the program and I get this job in academia and I'm working in curriculum and instruction or some other academic field, I have this doctorate of curriculum and instruction. People are going to presuppose that I'm an expert in the field of curriculum and instruction. That means I need to know what I say that I know. And if I've used AI to do that for me, there's going to be a deficit. There's going to be a deficit, and we don't want that. Okay? Next, in order for there to be an ethical use of AI, we've got to make sure that we verify information, right? We've got to make sure that we verify information, because even though AI is a tremendous brain that scours billions of pieces of information, we don't always know what we're getting, right? It's kind of like when you were in college or undergrad before AI came about, and your professor may have given you some sort of research project or research paper, and students were just Googling information, and they would tell you, if this didn't come from an academic journal, how do we know that you can use this, right? Because a lot of people were going to wiki pages and wiki links, and the problem with that was anybody could create a wiki page or a Google page for themselves, or an internet page. I could have called myself Doctor of Dermatology, right? And created some sort of page, and simply because I call myself doctor doesn't mean that I have a doctorate in dermatology that would allow me to be an expert in that field, right? So this information that you're finding on my page could be erroneous. So we've got to make sure that we're verifying the information that we find, okay? Next one, know what the university academic integrity policy is, right? Because every school has an academic integrity policy. And if you break that academic integrity policy, it could either cause you suspension or expulsion. So you want to make sure, again, that you're using things ethically and responsibly. Lastly, whenever you're using AI, right? If you're using AI as your research assistant, you've got to make sure that you cite this information within the context of your paper, or you acknowledge it. You don't try to make it seem like you did this on your own, but you acknowledge the help that you receive. Okay? Because I don't have any physical students here, I'm going to skip the interactive activity, but I am going to get you to think about some things as I wrap this up. I want you to think about a few things. I want you to think about how you can begin to infuse AI in your academic journey to help improve what you're already doing, right? Because remember, we said it in the beginning, we want to learn to work smarter and not harder. We don't have to spend 6, 7 hours at the library trying to find or decipher through 2 or 3 articles for class, when we can use AI to help us summarize those things and get a better, or use AI to help us break those articles down and get a better understanding, so that we're not stressing over them. Okay? Then we want to make sure that we learn how to use AI to improve what we already do, not to replace what we do, but to improve what we do. All right, that is the end of this workshop. I thank you for your attendance. Make sure that you follow us on social media. We are AAMU Grad Excellence on TikTok, AAMU Grad Excellence on Instagram, and AAMU Grad Excellence on YouTube. And so tell a friend to tell a friend. Make sure you also take a moment to stop by the Center of Graduate Excellence for Testing and Retention. We are located Carver North 124, and we are open. Our summer hours are 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and we're closed on Fridays, but we look forward to seeing and connecting with you. Have a blessed day.